Hi, hello everyone. My name is Janardhan, and today let's be learning about Coin-McCluskey and its algorithm in C language. So, uh, first dive into introduction. Why is this Coin-McCluskey required? So now we all know simplification of Boolean expression is a very good and practical tool for optimizing programming algorithms and circuits just given over here. And we have several different kinds of techniques to do this. One is Boolean algebra, one is key maps, which is also known as Carnot maps, and the other one is Coin-McCluskey. The main problem with Boolean expression is as number of variables goes on increasing, algebra gets more complicated. That's the reason we stop with Boolean, then shift to Carnot methods. It's more like a geometrical where we have different boxes, and then where we assign numbers and where you solve K-maps in such similar way. And coming to Coin-McCluskey, let's read what's given about Coin-McCluskey. Fewer method is a more executable when dealing with larger number of variables and is easier to be mechanized and run on a computer. Okay, fine. See, this is one main advantage of Coin-McCluskey is that it's easier to be mechanized and run on a computer. Whenever we come to large scale, we all know that we just don't actually don't do much of the programs. We try to do as much as possible minimum work, and we give as much as possible more work to computers. So one of the advantages of Coinmate is it can be easily run on computer. Although number of programming codes implemented here are on it, not all of them are technically correct. So we are going to be seeing the algorithm which is technically correct today. So we also one more special about this algorithm we are going to be learning is it's going to consider don't care also. So now let's see how is general introduction and procedures of Coin-McCluskey method. Suppose take over here AB plus AB bar is equal to A. Here bar is missing, but consider AB plus AB bar is equal to A. So the thing is, you can simplify this. You can simplify, take A common, B plus B bar. In this Boolean algebra, B plus B bar is nothing but 1. So AB plus AB bar is nothing but A. So this is how number of mean terms can be actually simplified easily. And finally, after simplifying all this, we make sure that it cannot be simplified further. And we come to that particular stage. And the final particular stage which we come, all the stages we call this prime implicants. And the final stage where it can't be further reduced at all, and that is called essential prime implicated. So the selected prime implicants are called essential prime implicated. So those are finally minimized. So now let's see this particular example today. F ABCD is equal to summation of 4 5 6 7 9 11 12 13 plus don't care 0 1 3 7. So this means which actually contain total in 12 mean terms including 4 don't care terms. Now let's come to how to actually solve this in case of Coin-McCluskey and how this data structure and algorithm are actually implemented. So now let's see how it's solved actually using Coin-McCluskey. All mean terms are transformed into binary numbers and arranged in different groups according to number of ones in binary representation. So these groups are put in ascending order in column 0. So all this including the don't get 0, 1, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9, all these are actually put in, actually converted into binary in ascending order. So 0 is given as 0 0 0 0, 1 as 0001, 4 as 0100. The same way in ascending order, all these are actually considered. So now, how is data structure? How its algorithm part is actually implemented? Let's see. The decimal indices will be translated into binary formats and stored in a two-dimensional array, min-term binary in each into two-dimensional min-term binary in each single dimensional array, min-term binary I and 0. So what actually happens is these things are actually stored in the two-dimensional array called as min-term binary where I and j are given. So now let's see how I and j are actually given. So I is nothing but there are actually 12 number of min terms, right? So we write for all 12 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 9 10 11. And so see the 0th, the first one is 0. First we represent from 0, 1 to 3. So from 0 to 11 is nothing but 12. And mean term indices are 0, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So the 0th mean term is 0. So represent 0. So how do we represent 0? Let's come over here. The first four numbers are corresponding binary digits. So let's see. For 0, the first four digits are nothing but corresponding binary digits. So corresponding binary digits for 0 is 0 0 0 0 and fifth member indicates number of ones. The number of ones in 0 is also nothing but 1 0. So that's the reason the fourth in the fourth column it is given as 0, and the rest is actually nothing but fifth, sixth, and seventh number are corresponding decimal numbers. So corresponding decimal number for 0 is 0 and 0. So that's the reason the whole column is 0. And the next thing, so let's come to the second part of it. So in the third mean term is nothing but 3 over here. The same with the fourth mean term is 4, and the 12th mean term is nothing but 14. See over here, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9, 11, 12. So the 12th mean term over here, 12th mean term is represented as 11. So this 11th mean term or 12th mean term is actually 14. So this is nothing but we represent 0 as 0, 1 as 1, 2 as nothing but 3. The fourth midterm is 5. So the same way keep on representing. So when we come over here, suppose let's say we want to represent 3. So 3 is nothing but in the ascending order, it's nothing but the third midterm. So let's come to over here. This is where we represent third midterm, right? So how is the corresponding binary digits of 3 is nothing but 0011. These are binary digits is represented. And in the fourth column, we actually have number of ones in 3. Number of ones in 3 is 1 1 and so these 1 1 1 1 are the number of ones in 3. So we represent it as 2. And fifth is 0. And in the sixth and seventh column, we represent the corresponding binary digits. Corresponding binary digit is nothing but 3. And seventh column also we represent binary, that's 3. In the same way, let's check for 12th. So the 12th mean term is represented as in I as 11. So what's actually 12? 12 is nothing but 14. So in the first four columns of this, let's represent its binary digit representation. So that's nothing but triple zero, triple one zero. So in the first four, we are represent as triple one zero, and in the next column, it's nothing but number of ones. So we represent it as 3, and in the fifth column is 0, and in the corresponding sixth and seventh, we represent its decimal number. So that's nothing but 14 and 14. And then let's come to the second part of it. Every two mean terms from two adjacent groups or here. This is nothing but procedures of how in paper. This is not in our algorithm view. This column is nothing but how we actually solve it on paper. So what is the next method on paper? We know every two mean terms from two adjacent groups are paid for possible. These are in arrange paid for possible combination if they only differ in one variable. The digit being cancelled is replaced by x after the first one of pairing. A new set of terms that are smaller by one literal are produced and placed in column 1. So from here, so before this, we actually need to make sure that all of these are arranging ascending order in groups of number of ones. This is how we do it in paper. While doing it in paper, see, take note for example, this is how we represent. So suppose the number of ones is 0 and we represent in a separate row where 0 over here 0 0 0 0, that's nothing but corresponding is 0. And check over here, the next is number of ones is 1. So in the mean term of corresponding binary digits 1, and for 4 the number of ones is 1 for its corresponding binary. So 1 and 4 will be represented in a separate column. The same way 3, 5, 6, 9, 12, where the number of ones is 2, and 7, 7, 11, 13, and 14 where the number of ones is 3. And note, all these should be in ascending order. Inside the corresponding groups, these should be in ascending order. See 0, 1, 4, 3, 5, 6, 7. These should be in ascending order. And the same way we represent in terms of binary, where 0 is nothing but corresponding column. So this is nothing but in the first column we are representing. See, this is the first column in actually Coin-McCluskey method. So that's the corresponding column. That's the 0th column. And then next we come to number of ones over here. The number of ones in this is 0, and inside this particular group what's the serial of this, so that's 0. And the same way 0, the number of 1 is 1, and the 0th digit is 1, that's nothing but 0001. The same way for 4, number of the column number is 0 and the number of ones is 1, and it's the first digit of this particular group. The same way come over here, the column number is 0, the number of ones of this particular group is 2, and the sequence of digits, this digit in this particular, this is nothing but third digit, third binary number in this particular of the 5 numbers which are actually there in the group. So this is how we represent in the ascending order for the first part of this data structure and application. So then again, now let's come to the second part. Now let's come to this. Now let's come to the second part of this data structure and application, including how actually this is produced. We all saw how it's actually particularly seen from one group to other group, and if at all they differ only by one digit, and then it's checked for possible combination, and wherever they're actually differing by one group, that is nothing but replaced by X. The same way, let's see how its data structure and algorithm part is implemented. So to store the terms in columns, a four-dimensional array column of is introduced. Each single dimensional array IKJ is produced dynamically where I indicates the number of column, J is number of group, and K is nothing but number of each term in the group, which we actually saw over here. This whole thing which we did right, this whole thing was nothing but an explanation for this. And the size and members of array column IJK column is illustrated in figure 5. So it's actually properly illustrated over here. See, it is properly illustrated over here. So in the first step of pairing, the term column ijk and term column ijl, it will be checked whether the elements from column ijk6 and column ijk5i are same as elements from column ij plus 1 l6 to column ij plus 1 l5 plus I. So let's see what happens actually is the same way we are trying to group over there. The same way it's actually checked in the different groups of the same column. It checks. Suppose these particular two differ by one binary digit. Then these particular things are checked. In the next study, next condition is checked whether the difference between column ij k6 plus I and column ij plus 1 l6 plus I is power of 2 or not. So the power of 2 is nothing but the corresponding binary digits is represented over here. And the difference between them in that particular, when you actually represent in this four-dimensional array, when the difference between them is nothing but 2 power n or something to the power 2, this actually means that they actually differ only by 1 bit. So that's how we actually, the compiler will be able to find out whether these two are actually different by 1 bit or not. If both these conditions are true, it means that the two terms can be paired. Then the array column I plus 1 ijm will be produced to store the information of the combined term. So the combined term, what happens is, it's the combined term is stored in column I plus 1 j and m. See, the thing is I plus 1. That means till now we are in the column 0. So 0 plus 1. So the whole terms which are paired now shift to the first column. Nothing but the next column. That is, it's getting incremented by 1. IJM will be produced to store the information of combined term. The value of IJK5 and the column IJ plus 1L5 will be changed from 0 to 1, which means that so, in the particular column, in the particular array, if the value is actually shifted from 0 to 1. If it's 1, it's actually an indication that yeah, these particular pairs are actually paired and they differ by 1. So let's actually see how this is actually implemented and trace the algorithm. Procedures of QM method 2. 0 and 1, 4, 3, 5, 6, 9, 12, 7. You all know how these binary terms are actually implemented. How this data structure is actually implemented. So members of column IJK. Size of column is actually represent IJK plus, that's nothing but that's a simple formula kind of thing. 7 plus I, 2 power I. So how is this particular column L we have been seeing over there? It's represented. For 0, 1, 2, 3 is nothing but the first four these columns, and the first four parts is nothing but binary representation of positions x are replaced by 2. So this is nothing but binary representation. And note, we actually remember wherever x was there, wherever the pairing had actually occurred, we actually replaced it by x while solving it on paper. But while solving it here in the code, it actually replaces positions of wherever x is there. In place of x, it's actually replaced as 2. And in the fourth place or the fourth place, the number of ones is written. And fifth, I means in the fifth is actually a kind of in CO, in computer organization subject would have studied. If at all the bit is set to 1, it means that the bit is occurred. If at all it is 0, it means the process has not still occurred. The same way even here, if it's 0, that means it's paid, and the value of it is if it's 1, that means that it has been paid. If the value is 0, it means it has not been paid. And 6 and the next corresponding positions of x are actually given. And after this is 6 plus I, the original decimal index is actually written. And then the last few columns, not columns, in the last few places, all decimal indexes are included. So now let's see for two particular pairs over here. So check this column and how these are actually paid into next places over here. So in these particular columns, let's take one example. So check out this here over here. 4 6 and 12 14. So 4 6 and 12 14. 4 is nothing but 0 1 x 0. 12 is nothing but 1 1 x 0. So note, in the first place it actually differs by 1 bit, and the rest is everything is same. So that means these two particular things, 4 6 and 12 14, can actually be paid over here. So what do? We represent 4 and 16 and 12 and 14. These these in these particular ways of L column were actually indicated, right? So this is how we represent. So now let's come L. So L is nothing but 4 and 6. So it's actually represented 0 1 x and 0. So 0 1 2 0. Remember, we had actually seen over here x is actually replaced as 2. So first four places are nothing but corresponding binary digits. So that's nothing but 0 1 x 0. That's nothing but 0 1 2 0. The same way for 12 14 1 1 x 0. That's nothing but 1 1 2 0. And in the fourth place we write what is the number of ones present in this corresponding binary. So in this number of 1 is nothing but 1. So we represent it as 1. Here number of 1 is 2. So in the fourth place we represent it as 2. As this has not been paid yet, that's the reason we write it as 0 and 0. So in the fifth place, we write it as 0 and 0 so that the compiler will understand, oh, it's not even paid yet. So let's see if at all any combination for pairing is there. And the sixth place, the position of x is actually written. See, in the fifth place, the position of x is written. So as x is in first position and x is same in the second position. So this is the most crucial part. What actually okay, fine, let's come to it later. In the seventh position, the original decimal index is actually written, which is nothing but 4. The original decimal index is 4, and for this original decimal index is 12, and the corresponding all decimal indices are included, which is nothing but 4 and 6. So 4 and 6. For this, it's 12 and 14. So 12 and 14 is written. So the most important part is nothing but the sixth bit, where it actually checks if it's the same 6. If it here also the position of x is 1, or the position of x is 1. If these both are same, only then it can be paid. So after these both are same, it actually checks the seventh bit. In the seventh bit, the difference between the original decimal indexes are seen. So that's nothing but 12 minus 4. 12 minus 4 is nothing but what? 8. So 8 can be represented in 2 power 3. So that means it can be represented as 2 power. So that means they differ by 1 bit, and these two can be paired. So how is this paid thing written over here? So remember, this whole thing was in column 1. So after finishing in column 1, the paid things from column 1 are actually shifted to column 2. So coming over here, it's written as column 2, and the number of ones is 1. And it's a ninth term in this particular column 2. And how is L represented? So remember, the place where it was actually differing was the first bit, or the 0th bit if you consider this. This was actually differing in the 0th bit. So as this differs, so practically we replace this as x. But as this is in the computer program, that's the reason we replace this by 2, and the one first bit is same, and 2 2, and 3 is nothing but 0. And let's come see the number of ones is what? The number of in fourth bit we actually represent the number of ones. The number of ones is 1. In the fifth bit we represent, if I means it, the 1 means it's paid, and 0 means it's not been paid. So that means this particular thing has not yet been paid. So that's 0. And remember, after these two things are paid, we should make sure that these fifth bits in both of them are actually changed to 1, so that the compiler knows, yeah, these things are actually paid. And in the sixth and seventh bit, we represent the positions of x. So that means the x is it's in 1 and 3 positions. We have x over here, and in the eighth place we represent the original decimal index. So this is original decimal index 4 6 12 and 14. So we represent the original decimal index, and in the next of the separate columns we represent all the decimal indexes, which are nothing but 4 6 12 and 14. So this is how we come until column 2. So and this is the second part of this data structure implementation. So now let's come to the third part of this. How the third part is actually implemented. So in paper, notably terms with more than one x will always have duplicates. For example, in column 2, terms 0x 0x can be obtained from 000x and 010x, or 0x 00 and 0x 01. Thus all duplicates need to be removed according to figure 7. The remaining irreducible terms which are not ticked are prime implicants, so they are nothing but PIs. So what actually happens is we can actually obtain the same kind of terms in column 2 by grouping by grouping terms in column 1 in two different possible combinations. So that's the reason. That means we are going to obtain two terms which are actually nothing but same. Those nothing but duplicates. So we need to make sure those duplicates are actually eliminated. So how is this actually implemented in data structure part? After finishing all possible pairings, the address information of unpaired terms column ijk5 is 0 will be stored in array via index n. If duplicates will be ignored, for example, if column 2i19 is a prime implicant, the elements of corresponding pi index n will be 2199. In the same time, an array name number counter will be produced to record how many times every decimal index occurs in all of these PIs. So now let's see for this. Here we actually saw how 0x can be obtained. It can either be obtained from 0 0 0 0 x, so that's nothing but various 0 0 0 x, 01 and 45. All this can actually be occupied by 04 and 15. So using these two or these two, we can obtain the same 0x. So what actually the compiler actually what needs to do is it needs to check for duplicates. The duplicate over here is 0x. So one among these two duplicates it actually ignores. So it's actually given as crashing array, but actually the compiler actually ignores them if it's duplicates. So the next part is actually very simple. In the same way, it checks for duplicates in all different groups. So all these other duplicates it keeps not ignoring, and whatever finally is left is actually transferred into an array called prime implicant index and n, which is given as n and the next column. So all these things are actually transferred into prime implicant index. So this is nothing but prime implicant index. Take for example 0145, that's nothing but 0x. So this is given as 0145. It's actually there in column 2 and in the 0th group. So the 0th group is nothing but number of ones is 0 and it's the 0th term of this particular group. The same way 1357, the number of it's in the second column where the number of 1 is 1 and it's the 0th term in this particular group. The same way 13911, the number it's in the second column, the number of ones is 1 and it's the first term in this particular group. The same way 461214. So 461214 is it's in the second column, the number of 1 is 1 and it's the ninth particular term in this particular group. So if you are curious actually to figure out how this actually is implemented in paper, so let's see how it's actually implemented in paper. This is column 1. So this is where we start first particular grouping, and then after this we are grouping into in terms of number of ones. After this the first column of pairing, after this the second column of pairing, and in the second column of pairing we actually ignore all these duplicates, and this is finally transferred into like this prime implicant chart. So after transferring into prime implicant chart, the next is we need to group all these terms. So now let's see what's the next term, the next procedure over here. A pie chart will be made as shown in the figure 9. Each column represent a min term and each row represent prime implicants. In the first step, all the don't care terms is min terms is removed. So how is actually don't, so we need to make sure that don't care. What's the particular reason of don't care? The name itself tells don't care. So we need to essentially follow this. So what happens is finally we make these columns where in one particular column all these mean terms are given. So all these possible different combinations we obtained, all these are there. And in the other column, all these other what are mean terms we obtained are actually given. So now our task is to remove all these don't care. So all don't cares will be removed by simply changing the value of corresponding number counter I to 0. So whatever the number counters was there, remember we actually had this number counter. In the same time, an array name number counter will be produced to record how many times every decimal index occurs in all PI. So there is a number counter to make sure that how many times this, suppose this is a number counter for 1. So the number of times it has occurred is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the number counter for 1 is 4. The same way there is a number counter for all these particular things. So how is actually this chart prepared? Let's see. All these terms which are not duplicates are actually represented as these terms over here. So from 0145 to 461214 it's represented, and all 12 mean terms which we had over there are actually written over here. And for 0, 1, 4, 5 is for first term, so we represent dots for 0, 1, 4, 5. The same way for 1, 5, 9, 13, 1, 5, 9, 13. The same way for every term it's done. And in the correspondingly the number count is actually given. So what, which and all the don't care terms we had? Remember, we had these three don't care terms, 0, 1, 3, 7. So these four were actually don't care terms. So in case of 0, 1, 3, and 7, we actually make all of these number counters into 0, 0, 0, 0. So what's actually remaining for us? 4, 5, 6, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14. All these are actually remaining. So in the next step, we actually write down all these 4, 5, 6, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14. And let's see what's the next procedure. In paper, column with only one single red circle indicates a mean term covered by only one prime implicants, which means that this prime implicant is an API. All the rows of this API and the corresponding columns that are covered will be removed. So this is the most important part. We actually find out essential prime implicants. So what actually essential prime implicants mean? They check for all different columns of all these mean terms, and if they see over there only one, is only one particular dot, or there is only one particular into, or that means there is only one covered by only one red circle, that means that corresponding row, that corresponding mean term is considered as essential prime implicance. So essential prime implicance is very important, and we first need to figure out what are the essential prime implicants we get. So check out here, for example, the 11th and 14th over here are essential prime implicants, because in the 11th column and 14th column of mean terms we only have one red circle, so that means 11 and 14 are essential prime implicants. So how are these actually done? Figured. The program will go through an array number counter. When number counter is 1, that means PI that contains mean term key will be selected, and information of the corresponding prime implicant index will be transferred to EPI index. The value corresponding to number counter of the mean terms covered by these EPIs will be set to 0. So check out for your example. We saw it. This is particularly easy for computer because it just goes to this number counter and goes to this number counter wherever. See, for 4 we have number counter is 4. For 5 it's 5. For 6 it's 2. For 9 it's 2. For 11 it's 1. 12 it's 2. 13 it's 2. 14 it's 1. So that means compiler just goes to this number counter, and for whichever wherever it finds number counter 1, for the corresponding mean term it understands that's a particular essential prime implicance. For this corresponding row, it actually selects this as API. So check out here. For 11th, this particular row is actually an API. For the corresponding mean term is nothing but 13911. So this x0, x1 is considered as an essential prime implicance. 13911 is an API now. The same way for 14, 4, 16, 12, 14 is an API now. So after these two are API, check out here. The value of corresponding number counter of mean terms covered by this API will be set to 0. That means, remember, this 11 is actually being covered by 139. So, and this 14 is covered by 4, 6, 12. So that means in the number counter, 4, 6, 12 and 139 was actually don't cares. So 1 and 3 were don't care, so that means 9 is set to 0. So all these 139, 4, 16, 12, the corresponding mean terms, the corresponding number counter mean terms are actually whatever these mean terms covers, whatever is essential prime implicant covers, all these are set to 0. So here 1, 3, 4, 6, 9, 11 and 12, all these 6 are actually set to 0. So that means what are the remaining number of terms which we have for 5, we have for 13. So the only remaining mean terms are 5 and 13 for us now. So let's see how it's actually particularly reduced finally. The remaining prime implicants and mean terms will form a new reduced pie chart. The next step is to find out a set of prime implicants which cover all terms in reduced PI chart and contain the least possible number of PIs. The set of PIs will be the rest of APIs, obviously either double x01 or x10x can be large API. So let's figure out how it's done in the data structure part, because this particular thing is easily understood. Let's see actually the data structure and algorithm part of this. The reduced PI chart will be produced as follows. The number of columns is denoted by number of remaining empty. That's nothing but mean terms. The number of rows is denoted by number of remaining uh, prime implicants. So number of remaining prime implicants is over here. This is a reduced mean chart. The number of mean terms are according to reduced pie chart. So this is a reduced pie chart. The remaining prime implicants are recovered reduced pie chart Y. The two-dimensional array will reduce pie chart will denote the red circles. So this two-dimensional array will actually denote the red circles. Remember over here 5 and 13 were remaining. So that's the reason we represent 5 and 13 for all these corresponding mean terms which are there. These two particular mean terms went by considering the EPIs. So only among these seven, only five are left. So we represent all these five and correspondingly we write mean terms for all of these. In first step, the program will find all possible set of PA that cover the remaining mean terms using in nested for loop. It calls a nested for loop and checks repeatedly. For example, nested for loop, it checks repeatedly until a particular condition is satisfied, until the particular argument is satisfied, and finally it comes to a conclusive value. So that's the way the nested for loop is called. Number of layers of nested for loop depends on number of remaining mean terms. How many ever number of mean terms are remaining, those many number of nested for loops we actually call. However, the number of remaining mean terms depends on input of the program. So that means depending on number of whatever input we are given, that means we don't know. Suppose we don't know the input of program. When we are writing the program, we don't suppose I am writing the program for sake of you, and I don't know what the input you actually give. So that's the reason we don't know. So what do we do then, which is unknown while writing the program? To solve this program, a recursive function is produced. So what happens over here is, because while writing program, I don't know what kind of inputs a user can give, how many minterms a user can give as input. I call in a recursive function which will make all this much easier. After going through all possible sets of PIs, a simple for loop will be utilized to find set of containing the least number of PIs or PIs. This will be set to the REST APIs. So check out here for example. We need to make sure we need to select the prime implicant in such a way that it covers all the minterms. So there are two particular combinations here. One is 15930 will consider will take into 5 and 13, and 4 5 12 13 will actually cover all remaining mean terms. So we can actually either select one among these two. Both the answers are correct. For sake of here, we can write both the answers, but we just select here 15913. So 15913 is nothing but XX we ignore, and 01 can be nothing but C bar and D. Along with this C bar and D, remember we have these essential prime implicants over here, which are 139 11 and 4 5 12 13. So those are nothing but, come over here. So those are nothing but B bar and D and B and D bar. So B bar and D and B D bar plus C bar D is the final answer which we get. So this is how we finally represent and trace Coin-McCluskey method. How do we solve it in a paper? How do we solve it in a particular program while writing a C program? And we are tracing the algorithm required for that particular C program. And this is how we represent Coin-McCluskey. For all further references, I'll in the description of this video, I'll also put in the program. I'll put in a GitHub link for my GitHub profile. We will actually be able to find the program for the C Coin-McCluskey. I'll show you the program over here. You can just have a look over here. It's a long 10 pages program, but one because you understood the algorithm, I think understanding the program also will be very easy. So if at all you have any doubts, compile this program in a whatever compiler you want and check. Give some inputs and check what are the final answer you are going to get. So I'll put this program in the description below, and any further doubts you can always put in the comment section. So for more such videos, like, comment and subscribe to this channel. And finally, thank you for watching this video. Thank you. Bye bye.